everyone, my name is Madison. This is my vlog, Branding Through Photography, and today we're on episode number 8. Um, Today I really wanted to talk to you guys about editing, and so I figured that I could drop some images on Lightroom and give you a quick little tutorial. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we're talking about Lightroom, but don't let that deter you if you're not using Lightroom yet, or maybe you're just using maybe your phone app. Don't worry. I know that Lightroom, it is a little bit intense, and for those of you who aren't even sure what Lightroom is, it's an Adobe program where you can edit images, and a lot of photographers use Lightroom or Photoshop for their editing. I'm going to be talking about Lightroom today because it's easier to batch edit, meaning you can edit several images kind of at once, whereas Photoshop is more of a one image stop, like you just do one at a time. And so it's a little bit more time consuming in if you're trying to edit, like a group of images. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about Lightroom. Don't worry, we will be talking about like some online free editing later. And then all of that will still be applicable to, if you're editing something on your phone. I'm really going to be talking a lot about like exposure and highlights and shadows and the blacks and the whites and the saturation and texture, clarity, all that stuff today. And so even if you're not like wanting to learn Lightroom, still understanding what the dials do to your image will really help you. So, stay tuned, tag along with me as I talk about Lightroom. And if you have any questions in the future, just drop comments below and I will try to incorporate those in my next videos. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I've got my images right here and let's talk about it really quick. Right now I'm using a program called Photomechanic, which is pretty much, it's a viewing and culling program. It's really for photographers, but I just want to show you what we're looking at in terms of the photos that we're editing really quick before we drop them into Lightroom, and then we can kind of see the import process as well. Okay, so first image we've got here, it's pretty much fine lighting wise. I'm okay with it. I'm just gonna crop it. So I wanna show you guys how to crop. This one, like as you can see, there's a window right here and the sun was like coming in and out. And so while my camera settings weren't changing, definitely the amount of light was changing. And so I wanna show you how to fix how bright it is right here. And then I'm probably going to crop a little bit here too. This one, the sun just completely went away. So I want to brighten it up and make it so you can actually see what's going on in the photo. And then this one is backlit. And so I'm going to kind of play with it and see what we can do with that. Okay, so those are our images. I'll go here, highlight all of the images, and then drag them down into Lightroom. I keep my Lightroom down in my dock area right there. Okay, and then just to let you know, when I was going through the images on Photomechanic, I just kept them all in the same folder. That's why you're seeing all of these. So these are all the ones that I took. The ones that I'm actually importing are the ones with the check mark box in it. Okay, and then for now, I'll just do none. So I'll import the images as is. And then, oh yes, so it's coming from my hard drive. I've got it as add right here. And then it's coming over into my catalog. So this is what your Lightroom import dialog should look like. I keep this on minimal. It's fine for what we're needing to do with it. And then if you have any presets or anything that you wanted to put on it, you would do it here in the develop settings. I'm gonna do none just to keep it easy for everyone here. And then we just go to import. Okay, so when they are coming in, they'll pop in here under catalog and then previous import. And so yeah, I've got my images right here. Right now we're in the library mode right there, which pretty much just means that we can just like look at the images. We could do like really minor adjustments, but I want to get into it. And so what we're going to do is you could press D, or you could click develop right here. So that puts us into develop mode and gets us ready to go. Okay, so like I mentioned, the lighting and everything is fine here. I'm cool with it. I do want to crop it, so it's obviously just a different crop. So what we're gonna do is you go over to the top right here in this little square button, or you can press R. That's totally up to you if you're into shortcuts. And right now, this is gonna be locked in the crop that it's in. So you can just kind of move things around however you want it. If you wanted to make it kind of weird, you could do something like that, you know. So there's a little padlock button right there. And then if you wanted to make it smaller, you could do that. So for me, I'll just go back to the as shot and then just move things around. This is really great. Like if you're trying to post something on Instagram and you want to keep it square, you could go to 1-to-1 ratio and then that would make it square. And then you can kind of see like what you're working with here, you know, which I don't hate that. So here's like a little thumbnail of like what that would look like. I'll probably just keep it normal as for now and then play with it later. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. And then kind of turn it. So we'll just move. I want the feet in. I would want the feet in, but they're cropped off. So, we don't get feet. We'll move over here. And that's fine. And then as you can see with this crop grid, it'll show you the 9 grid here. And this is just to help you kind of like center things, keep things in a good composition. So I think I mentioned in one of my maybe Instagram posts, but I like to put things in the left or the right side, keep it a little off centered so then you can add type to something. So not saying I'm doing that here, it's just for future reference if you're ever wanting to kind of do more compositional work and decide like what looks best in compositionally, just to let you know. Yeah, so then after you're done with your crop, which I feel pretty good about this one, you just press enter. And yeah, I actually might pull back some highlights a little bit. So do you see what the highlights are doing here? Especially on my face, if you'll see like bright spots on it. So this is all the way to the right. It really just blows it out more and makes it brighter. And then if you go to the left, it kind of brings back skin. So you can see more texture on the skin, which I like sometimes. And sometimes it looks like it's been messed with too much, so I don't like that look. Yeah, so kind of mess with that. And maybe a little clarity. I don't know. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. All right, I'm cool with this. Gonna just see what happens there. And then you can see this is what we started with. This is in your history file right here. So you go all the way back to the beginning and then all the way to the end there. Okay. Actually a little bit of shadows. Okay, so I'm still messing with it. Yeah, so beginning and end. There is a button for it for the thing. I think it's the backslash button. Yeah, okay. So if you do the backslash button, that's the beginning. That's where we started. And then this is where we ended. It's not a ton of difference. Oh, and we did crop too. So I guess it doesn't show you that. But yeah, you can see your actual edits. Okay, cool. Next one. Excuse me. Let's see. So this one's too bright, and so there's 2 ways to fix this. One would be dropping exposure, which is the top button, and that will change the entire setting of the image, like the entire image. And that just lowers everything down, or if you can make it totally brighter. So that is good if your whole image needs to be adjusted brighter or darker. Highlights and shadows are different because it's only going to affect the highlighted part or the shadow part. And the shadow would be like right here down at the bottom of the couch, right here in my legs area. The highlights is really only where the light is hitting. And so you can, play with it, see. So this is not affecting the entire image. It's only affecting the bright parts. And then the shadows is not going to affect the entire image. It's only affecting the shadow part. So It's a really great way, like the exposure changes the whole thing, and then the highlights and shadows, they like break that further down, and they're like, oh, you don't want to change the whole thing, you just want to change part of it. Here's how you do it. Here's the lever to move it up and down. So yeah, I did a little bit of the exposure down, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of the highlights, but I don't, do you see how like my skin tones start getting like weird right here? I don't like that. So I don't want to do too much highlights. I'll keep it a little bit because I kind of like this whole thing we got going. Maybe a little black. I don't know. And the whole part of this is like you want to play with it, you know, it see what happens. You're in an editing phase, so it's not going to corrupt the image. It's not going to make it like you're not stuck with these changes. You can definitely move things around, move things back, and so definitely play with it. It gets kind of fun, and you're gonna have to like stop yourself at some point and just be like, it's good enough, you know. So we could up the contrast. The contrast just it gives it, honestly adds a little bit more black to the photo and kind of accentuates, like, you know, curves a little bit more, makes it more contrasty, you know, hence the name. Okay, and I'm gonna adjust the crop on this too because I don't like this part of the frame showing, and I want my head a little bit higher in the frame. So I think I'm gonna go here-ish. I feel like it's a little crooked. Feet, I don't know. I'm kind of okay with them. I could crop them out. We'll see. I could go like this. Let's see if you like that. See, and that's a little tight. I don't think I want it that tight. I think I want it more like here. And then the highlights is still, that's still bugging me. I don't know. Let's see. I'm okay with that though. That doesn't bother me. See, and I could go, you know, like lower the exposure, leave the highlights there, and then kind of move the shadows, which actually I'm kind of okay with that. Now, and then I if I want to make like a duplicate image and make one in black and white, which I really like to do because sometimes I want the option, is you press Command and apostrophe. And then that makes a virtual copy. So do you see we're on copy one? Yeah, so that makes a little copy, or yeah, it's apostrophe, the quotation mark apostrophe one. So yeah, and then I'll just drop that into black and white. And then sometimes with black and white, I really like to play with the blacks and the whites here. And honestly, I might like this better in black and white. I don't know. We'll play with it. And then this would be really nice if this is actually, I don't know what this tool is called. I forgot. But it's like spot editing where you can make things brighter or darker. So I'm just going to make it a little darker so you can see the title of the book. Exposure, bring it in there. Yeah, and then kind of do that business. I can't believe I forgot the name of this tool. Anyway, okay, so then and then I will be done with that. So you can either press close here, or I just press enter, and then you've got this little button that kind of makes it not active anymore, but you can, you know, reactivate it kind of and still mess with it if you want. It's really cool to use. Enter. That's this little brushy tool right here. So I like that. Okay, cool. And then you can close out on it just by pressing enter again. Then you're back to normal editing settings. Okay, so now we've got this one. This one's way too dark. So then I want to change the exposure. So make it brighter. There we go. I like that. I'm going to add a little contrast here. Maybe some shadows. Maybe not too much shadows though. You know, I don't know. Because it's starting to get really grainy. Do you see how dark this room is? And it's starting to get kind of grainy here. It's just not as clear. And that's what happens if your starting point is a lot darker than where you want it to be. Then you're just like, the more you have to change and manipulate the image, the grainier it's going to be. And then like vice versa, if it's super bright and you're kind of like, you know, you're losing skin textures, you're blowing out highlights, then it's gonna look weird. Like this one is almost there. It's almost too bright because you start, like my skin is starting to turn a little yellow here, and I don't like that. And honestly, that's why I kind of like the black and white better, is because when you turn things to black and white, because it's just white, you don't really see the color part. You don't, it's not as bad to blow things out if it's too bright like that. So yeah, just keep that in mind. This one's a little dark, so it's going to be a little grainy. That's okay too. You know, I mean, because it's not bad. It shows a little texture and stuff like that. I don't want it too bright. Like I could raise up the shadows and show more of the couch, but I don't think I want that. I think I want to keep it a little bit, like a little bit moodier. I'm going to crop it down just a hair and then turn it because that's really been bugging me. All right, and then this little grid, as you can see, it helps you like kind of line things up. So this is where the couch is kind of lined up. That's what I'm looking at. You're going to have some natural curvature from your lens. That's normal. Don't worry about that. It just happens. It is what it is. Okay, I kind of like that. I'm kind of happy with it. I do wish the paintings were a little bit straighter. That's just where we're at right now. Could move it more like that. If I wanted to focus more on this top part, I could go like that. Actually, yeah, I think I like that better. Okay, cool. I like that. I'm going to make a little duplicate. So command apostrophe, command quotations, whatever. All right, and then I'll go to my saturation, drop it down, and then I want to boost up the whites a little bit. So what I'm going to do actually is just take back the highlights, because they were down here to accommodate like some skin stuff and then showing the lines. And I'm just going to put them back to 0, which you can double click or you can just move it to 0 if you want. And then I'll go to whites, and the whites just make the whites whiter and the blacks blacker. So you could do that. That turned into a pretty moody picture really fast, didn't it? So, and I'm okay with that. I like having options. So, I mean, I might do color, I might do black and white. We'll see. Yeah, so it's a duplicate image, and then you can just change the color. All right, cool. Next shot, and then we will be done. So here I've got backlight, and then actually, because I'm reading a book here, the pages are white. Do you see how it's adding a little bit of light onto my face? So that's kind of nice. I like that. I don't really like that there. And this blue spot right here is showing shadows, and I don't really know why it shows it randomly and then like doesn't. So don't worry about it. It's not like there's actually blue spots on your pictures. Don't worry. So if I wanted to see what's outside the window, I bring down the highlights. Do you see that right there? Okay. And then if I don't want to show, which I honestly don't because they don't help the picture, I could totally blow out the image, and I think I might just keep it like right in that area. I don't know. We'll see. And then I'll do a little shadow, not a ton. And then I'll just kind of darken that. Let's see. And then a little bit of contrast. Maybe some blacks in there. So whites. And you're going to, when you practice this, you're going to get better at it. You're going to play with it. For vibrance, if I wanted to make colors pop, like this red here, maybe the blue of my pants, then I mess with vibrance. Some people, they do saturation. I don't really mess with the saturation because I think it makes my skin weird colors. I don't think it handles skin color correctly. So the only time I really use saturation is when I'm making things in black and white, or like half or something like that. So I like to keep that kind of at 0. And if I'm going to pump something up, it's going to be vibrance, because, like, look, I can go all the way to the top and my skin didn't change that much. Otherwise, I can just kind of chill around 20, 20, 30, something like that. Be good to go. Okay, yeah. So I'm good with that. I'm going to crop it, go to the crop tool. I'm going to drag it down, and I think I don't want that foot in there. Do a little straightening, figure out where I'm at. All right, something. And then that kind of takes out the paper too. If I wanted to do more paper, I go over to this little guy with the arrow, and then just make it a little bit bigger, which you can change in the size or if you have a scroller or mouse, and then just kind of cover that, and then it goes away. It's just like a little band-aid tool. So we'll talk more about that later. I don't really want to get into that for our basic one. I know that this is kind of turning into a long little video. And even if I wanted to kind of make these lines like these lines, I go to my little brushy tool here and then color over them. And so that's really just like activating this part of the image. Right now it's darker, but don't worry. We're going to go up. So then it's going to go up brighter there. I like that better. I don't like what it's doing to my hair. So we'll just go ahead and get it where we want it. I'm going to erase a little bit on the hair area. Make that smaller. Hold on, I want to make the flow more. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to do one more little guy here. Okay. And then that's just adding like one more layer on top. So I can kind of do a little bit. I don't want to go crazy with it. It's really just this like one little spot that's bugging me. And what I might do is just go back to this tool and then do that. You can like kind of move it around, mess with it there. Okay, I'm cool with that. It's a little different, works for me. It is what it is. You know, not every, it's not like the best picture ever, for sure, but it's not bad. I don't hate it. And I don't know, you want to see what that looks like in black and white? Do Command apostrophe, copy that, go to black and white. I can kind of mess with the blacks here, raise up the whites. I can do shadows. Might even add a little vignette. Yeah, I don't know. And then honestly, it's a little bright. If I darken it, that's what happens. You see the blinds, and I don't know if I want to do that. So maybe I'll just drag it down because they are kind of bugging me a little bit. All right, I don't hate that. Okay, so that's in color, black and white. I don't know, I'm kind of going for black and white today. It's working with this mood. Maybe that's fine. It's just kind of toning it down a little bit. That's not bad. Yeah, so I mean, honestly, like I said, you can mess with images all day long. You just have to get to a point where you're like, you know what? Good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, like, because in reality, you're just posting these to do like a little social media post or something. It's not like you have to spend hours on an image. It's okay. Like, you can make things good enough and then you're good to go. It's totally fine. Okay, so now I'm ready. I'm done with these images. I'm going to export. So why don't I need to go to library, which I can go here. That puts me in my grid mode. If you wanted to do a hotkey, you could just press G and that'll get you there. And then I'm just going to highlight all of them and click this export button at the bottom. Okay, and then I will do a specific folder. We'll go here. And then this is where I'm keeping this stuff. And I'll just go here. So you can change your folders in that area. I'll leave the name, just their normal name. For quality, I usually kind of go like 85. They don't have to be super high quality, so don't worry. JPEG, sRGB. And then for resizing to fit, I have it on long edge, and I will actually change that to 2000, I think. And then I'll make the resolution 150. If I'm printing something, I want to make this 300. For just like online stuff, I like to do anywhere from 72 to 150. sometimes 125. I don't like things being pixelated, so I probably lean more towards the 150 than the 72, but you know, there you go. Okay, and then all this other stuff I don't really worry about. And then I export. And it's working right there. It'll show you the status. And there we go. So that was a kind of a long overview of Lightroom Classic. I will try to do for future videos more of just like one specific thing, and then we can kind of like delve into that. But this is a little bit, it's a little bit bigger of a topic. We're starting from the import to the export, everything in between. We got some crop tool going, black and white, making copies. It's a lot of information. Don't feel overwhelmed like you have to get it all done now. This is taking me years to learn, so really don't worry about it. Just try to really just try to focus like, what happens when I change exposure? What happens when I change, highlights and shadows? And do I like that? And do I not like that? And that's part of creating your brand, is figuring out, what looks good? What do I like? What do I want people to recognize when they see my stuff? Like, what do I want to be consistent? And so I feel like this style is pretty consistent with what I come up with, obviously, because I shot it and now I'm editing it. And so, yeah, I would love to see what you guys come up with. If you have any questions on Lightroom, definitely let me know. I'm happy to help, and I would love to, answer your questions in the future and make sure everyone's on the same page and everyone's understanding what's going on and happy with their photos. So yes, I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments what questions you have, if it was helpful, if you liked it, all of that good stuff. And yeah, so I will talk to you guys soon. Guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for checking out my editing video. If there's anything that has really been frustrating you with your editing, especially in Lightroom, drop a comment below and I will try to incorporate those in my future videos. And yeah, as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to my channel. Also, as I've kind of mentioned before, I have a really great little Facebook group that I'm trying to build out, and it's called Branding Through Photography, and it's pretty new, but it's a lot of fun. We're talking a lot about just getting out there more in the social media world, and like, what does that look like? What kind of photos do you use? How do you use it? What fits with your brand? All of that great stuff. We're building like a community, and so I would love for you guys to join. I dropped a link below, so check it out, and I can't wait to see you there. So until then, I will see you next week, same time, same place.